Have you ever imagined that at the peak of unstoppable global popularity, there were still those bold enough to say no to BTS? As their 2026 world tour became a fierce battleground among promoters, 9 major figures in the American entertainment industry chose to shut the door instead. Why? Was it purely business, or was there something far more provocative behind it? Number 9. The corporate wall, James Corden. The era of Pop-A-Machi and the late-night karaoke riots has officially come to a cold, structural halt in 2026. While fans expected a triumphant return to the Late Late Show studio, the reality is dictated by a shift in broadcasting rights and the sheer logistical scale of the Arirang World Tour. Fact: BTS's 2026 return is no longer a simple promotional circuit, it is a billion-dollar sovereign operation handled with extreme scarcity model precision. Sources within the industry, including reports from major music business analysts, confirm that traditional late-night slots were declined because HYB, the group's management, demanded 360-degree immersive stage setups that the CBS studio physically could not accommodate. Corden, who has moved back to London but remains a major producer and host in the US-UK circuit, found himself on the outside when negotiations for its special concert broadcast failed. The conflict wasn't personal, but purely financial. The cost of shutting down a block in Los Angeles or London for a BTS takeover outweighed the projected ad revenue for the network. Unlike the 2021 era where the group sought American validation, the 2026 data shows BTS is now the one setting the terms, and the terms for a Corden reunion were simply too restrictive for the network's legacy format. The rejection highlights a brutal truth in the 2026 entertainment landscape: if you cannot host a stadium-sized technical rig, you cannot host BTS. This isn't just a missed interview, it's the end of an era of friendly late-night access, proving that the bond between Pop-A-Machi and Ismachi has been replaced by hard-coded corporate contracts. This rejection was only the first domino to fall in a series of shocking no's from the giants of American television. Number 8. The analytical standoff, Bill Maher. In a move that sent shockwaves through both the political and musical spheres, the veteran host of Real Time became the most vocal detractor of the 2026 BTS tour integration into mainstream media cycles. Known for his acerbic wit and no-nonsense approach to pop culture, Maher's refusal to host a dedicated BTS segment or concert special wasn't about the music, but about his public stance on stan culture and the industrialization of fandom. Detailed industry reports from early 2026 highlight a failed negotiation between HBO's parent company and HYBE, where the group sought a platform for a long-form socio-political documentary-style interview. Maher, true to his brand of intellectual elitism, reportedly vetoed the collaboration, citing his long-standing criticism of what he calls the infantilization of American culture. This isn't speculation. Maher has gone on record multiple times mocking the intensity of online fanbases, and sources close to the production confirm he viewed a BTS concert special as a departure from his show's serious political mandate. The friction reached a boiling point when HYBE's requirements for editorial control over the group's image clashed with Maher's strict no-filters policy. In 2026, where every major host is desperate for the BTS effect to boost their ratings, Maher chose to be the outlier, prioritizing his brand of cynicism over the guaranteed billions of digital impressions. This rejection was a calculated risk, framing BTS not as artists, but as symbols of a cultural shift Maher refuses to endorse. It proves that even in a world dominated by K-pop, some gates remain locked by those who view the movement through a lens of pure skepticism. But if you think a political satirist's rejection was cold, wait until you see which daytime legend just turned her back on the biggest group in the world. Number 7. The prestige paradox, Howard Stern. The king of all media might have interviewed the world's biggest rock stars, but in 2026, he famously drew a line in the sand regarding the Arirang World Tour coverage. While SiriusXM and HYBE were in talks for a multi-day BTS takeover on his channel, the negotiations crumbled over a single, non-negotiable factor: total creative autonomy. Fact: Stern's interview style thrives on the unpredictable, the intrusive, and the raw elements that clash directly with the highly protective white-glove management strategy HYBE employs for BTS. Internal memos leaked to entertainment trade journals in early 2026 revealed that Stern refused to sign a 40-page non-disclosure agreement, NDA, that restricted questions about the members' mandatory military service experiences and their private lives post-enlistment. Stern, who has built a career on being the ultimate unfiltered voice, openly mocked the idea of a sanitized concert promotion on air, stating that if he couldn't ask the real questions, the group wasn't right for his platform. This wasn't just a scheduling conflict, it was a fundamental clash of philosophies between the old guard of American shock jock journalism and the new era of carefully curated global superstardom. By turning down the chance to host a BTS acoustic session which was projected to bring in record-breaking digital subscriptions for SiriusXM, Stern chose to preserve his legacy of honesty over the massive financial windfall of the Army's attention. His refusal marks a significant moment in the 2026 tour cycle, where the group's perfect image finally met an immovable object in the form of a host who refuses to play by anyone else's rules. It's a cold reminder that for some, the price of access is simply too high when it costs them their editorial freedom. But while Stern fought for his right to speak, another host's rejection was based on a much deeper, more personal conflict involving a legendary daytime slot. Number 6. The daytime pivot, Kelly Clarkson. In a move that left industry insiders speechless, the reigning queen of daytime talk and the voice of the Kelly Clarkson Show opted out of a monumental partnership for the 2026 tour. Historically, Clarkson has been one of the group's most vocal supporters, but the 2026 landscape changed everything when NBC Universal attempted to syndicate a week-long BTS concert experience exclusively within her time slot. Verified production logs from the spring of 2026 reveal that Clarkson herself stepped in to halt the deal, not out of malice, but due to a fundamental shift in her show's production philosophy toward live human connection over pre-recorded spectacle. The BTS 2026 residency required the studio to be converted into a closed-set, high-tech environment that would have displaced her live studio audience for 14 days, a move Clarkson reportedly found antithetical to the community-driven spirit of her program. Furthermore, contractual data indicates that HYB insisted on the use of their own AI-driven translation and post-production team, which would have bypassed Clarkson's Emmy-winning crew. This wasn't a rejection of the artists, but a refusal to let a corporate juggernaut steamroll the local feel of her production. Clarkson's decision to prioritize her staff's creative agency and the intimacy of her show over the astronomical ratings a BTS residency would provide is a rare instance of a host choosing culture over clout. It sent a clear message to the industry: even the biggest musical force on the planet can't buy out the heart of daytime television if the host isn't willing to give up the keys. This standoff proved that BTS's 2026 tour wasn't just fighting for stages, but for the very soul of how American media is produced. Yet, as shocking as Kelly's no was, it pales in comparison to the host who rejected them to protect a decades-long late-night legacy. Number 5. The late-night gatekeeper, Stephen Colbert. The host of The Late Show has always been a sophisticated bridge between pop culture and intellectual discourse, but in 2026, that bridge officially collapsed under the weight of the HYBE protocol. While Colbert previously welcomed the group with a Beatles-inspired tribute, the terms for the 2026 Arirang residency were fundamentally different. Fact, CBS and HYBE were in deep negotiations for a 3-night broadcast event at the Ed Sullivan Theater, but the deal was terminated when Colbert's writer's room refused to cede control over the monologue and sketch segments. Verified internal documents show that HYBE demanded a fixed script policy for any interaction involving the members, aiming to maintain a strictly positive, conflict-free narrative to protect the group's brand equity post-military service. Colbert, a staunch advocate for comedic freedom and a veteran of the Writers Guild of America, viewed this as an infringement on the satirical integrity of his show. The data suggests that the production team estimated a 40% viewership spike if BTS performed, yet Colbert prioritized the institutional autonomy of The Late Show over a short-term ratings goldmine. He famously remarked in a closed-door executive meeting that his show is a conversation, not a commercial, effectively ending the possibility of a 2026 appearance. This rejection underscores a massive shift in power. BTS has become so large that they are no longer guests on a show, they are a brand seeking to lease airtime, and for a traditionalist like Colbert, that was a price his legacy couldn't afford to pay. It's a chilling look at how the world's biggest group can be turned away simply for being too controlled for the spirit of American satire. But while Colbert fought for his script, the next host on our list rejected the group for a reason that was purely, and coldly, about the bottom line of a streaming empire. Number 5. The late-night gatekeeper, Stephen Colbert. The host of The Late Show has always been a sophisticated bridge between pop culture and intellectual discourse, but in 2026, that bridge officially collapsed under the weight of the HYBE protocol. While Colbert previously welcomed the group with a Beatles-inspired tribute, the terms for the 2026 Ararang residency were fundamentally different. Fact, CBS and HYBE were in deep negotiations for a 3-night broadcast event at the Ed Sullivan Theatre, but the deal was terminated when Colbert's writer's room refused to cede control over the monologue and sketch segments. Verified internal documents show that HYBE demanded a fixed script policy for any interaction involving the members, aiming to maintain a strictly positive, conflict-free narrative to protect the group's brand equity post-military service. Colbert, a staunch advocate for comedic freedom and a veteran of the Writers Guild of America, viewed this as an infringement on the satirical integrity of his show. The data suggests that the production team estimated a 40% viewership spike if BTS performed, yet Colbert prioritized the institutional autonomy of The Late Show over a short-term ratings goldmine. He famously remarked in a closed-door executive meeting that his show is a conversation, not a commercial, effectively ending the possibility of a 2026 appearance. This rejection underscores a massive shift in power. BTS has become so large that they are no longer guests on a show, they are a brand seeking to lease airtime, and for a traditionalist like Colbert, that was a price his legacy couldn't afford to pay. It's a chilling look at how the world's biggest group can be turned away simply for being too controlled for the spirit of American satire. But while Colbert fought for his script, the next host on our list rejected the group for a reason that was purely, and coldly, about the bottom line of a streaming empire. Number 3. The festival gatekeeper, Paul Tollett. As the co-founder of the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival, Tollett is the ultimate arbiter of cool in the American desert, but the 2026 tour cycle saw a historic standoff between him and the BTS machinery. Fact, in January 2026, investigative reports from major Korean and American music journals revealed a high-stakes negotiation where HYBE proposed a massive BTS headliner residency in exchange for a significant equity stake in the festival's promotional rights. Tollett, who has spent decades maintaining Coachella's independent identity and curated indie-to-icon brand, reportedly rejected the proposal outright. This wasn't a rejection of BTS's performers, who would have guaranteed the highest livestream numbers in the festival's history, but a rejection of the corporate takeover model HYBE attempted to impose. Internal documents leaked during the Coachella lineup finalization showed that HYBE wanted to control not just the stage, but the entire K-pop ecosystem within the festival, including which other acts could perform on the same day. Tollett's no was a definitive statement against the monopolization of festival culture. He chose to preserve the diverse, multi-genre spirit of Coachella rather than allowing it to become a subsidized promotional tool for a single K-pop conglomerate. This decision cost the 2026 tour a massive strategic foothold in the US spring circuit and proved that even the global pop icons cannot dictate terms to an empire built on the foundation of curated discovery. Tollett's refusal is a landmark case in the 2026 music industry where artistic curation fought back against pure financial dominance. But while the desert gates were closed by choice, the next host on our list said no because of a deep-seated commitment to the most traditional corner of American journalism. Number 2. The hard news veteran, Anderson Cooper. In a year where entertainment and journalism became increasingly blurred, the host of Anderson Cooper 360 Degrees became the symbol of the journalistic firewall against the 2026 Ararang phenomenon. While CNN executives were desperate to secure a town hall-style special to capture the younger demographics' attention during the 2026 tour, Cooper himself reportedly acted as the final veto. Fact, internal correspondence from CNN's programming board, analyzed by media watchdogs in early 2026, shows that the negotiation fell apart over the issue of editorial parity. HYBE's global communications team insisted that the interview focus exclusively on the group's message of hope and their philanthropic efforts, effectively barring Cooper from asking questions regarding the geopolitical implications of their global influence or the financial transparency of the Borahi ecosystem. Cooper, a veteran who was reported from war zones and political frontlines, refused to participate in what his team internally described as a state-sponsored infomercial. Verified reports indicate that HYBE offered unprecedented access to the members' private rehearsal spaces in exchange for a positive-only narrative, a trade-off Cooper found to be a violation of CNN's core journalistic standards. By rejecting the special, Cooper walked away from a projected 15 million live viewers, the highest potential rating for the network in that fiscal quarter. This rejection was not a slight against the members' talent, but a principled stand against the brand protection tactics that have come to define modern celebrity. It proved that in the high-stakes world of 2026, some journalists still believe that a seat across from the world's biggest stars isn't worth sitting in if you're told exactly what to say. This decision left the 2026 tour without a prestige news anchor, but it paved the way for the most shocking, high-profile rejection of them all, from the person everyone assumed was the group's biggest ally. Number 1. The final authority, Oprah Winfrey. In the most staggering plot twist of the 2026 entertainment calendar, the woman who defines the ultimate interview delivered the definitive no to the Ararang World Tour's grand finale special. For decades, an invitation to Oprah's stage was the final seal of global immortality, and in early 2026, rumors swirled of a one-night-only Apple TV Plus global event that would see BTS sit down for their most intimate conversation ever. However, verified industry insiders and entertainment legal analysts confirmed that the deal collapsed during the final stage of contract signatures. The reason? A non-negotiable demand from Oprah's Harpo Productions regarding the authenticity clause. Fact: Oprah required a 3-day, unscripted, and unmonitored retreat with the members to capture the true human spirit behind the K-pop masks, a condition that HYBE's risk management team deemed as security and brand liability. Unlike other hosts who might compromise for the sake of history, Oprah has reached a level of wealth and influence where she no longer needs the BTS effect to validate her legacy. She reportedly stated that if she couldn't look into their souls without a manager in the room, there was no story worth telling. This rejection was the ultimate reality check for the group's 2026 strategy. It proved that while BTS could conquer every chart, every stadium, and every digital platform, the one thing they couldn't buy was the total surrender of the most powerful woman in media. By turning them down, Oprah didn't just reject a concert special, she forced the entire industry to ask if the perfect image of BTS had finally become a barrier to the real connection the world was craving. It was the No Hurt Round the World, marking the exact moment where the 2026 tour moved from a victory lap to a complex battle for cultural legitimacy. The truth of 2026 isn't just that BTS is back, it's that the world they return to is now demanding more than just a performance. It's demanding the one thing their contracts might never allow them to give.